And I'm going to walk that answer back because I just did the like, I'm good, you know? And the reality is I'm feeling a little bit tender today.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so just naming that. And I think it's really appropriate because a lot of it does really feel ancestral
Mm-hmm.
and is for that matter. So it's also the right moment for that.
Do you want to start with some grounding?
I would love that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I could lead it. I don't know what type of grounding methods feel good to you.
I will lead it because I'll just share one of my favorites, and I love this one because everyone can do it. And it's a nice, discreet way of being able to care for yourself, even if you're at work or with your kids or with whoever. So it's called the 5-finger breathing. So you want to just, I'm going to hold my hand up to demonstrate, but you could just have it in your lap, whatever feels comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate your invitation, Courtney, because I think it is really important to start these moments with grounding and to really get present in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is each time we go up, we're going to breathe in. And then when we go down, we're going to breathe out. And we're just going to do that the whole way through. So usually when I talk while I'm doing it, then I can't breathe and I need to breathe. So just remember up, breathe in, out, breathe out, or
I
down,
can take
breathe
you.
out.
I can take you through it.
Okay.
You want to start on your thumb or your pinky?
Thumb.
Okay. And we're gonna go up, 2, 3, 4. Exhale down, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4. Exhale down, 2, 3, 4. And up, 2, 3, 4. Exhale down, 2, 3, 4. And in, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3.
All
Feel that?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you
Thank
like to
you.
do a hold at the in between parts or just in and out?
I prefer in and out because I already, like, even though I've been doing breath work for some years, I still have the tendency to like hold too much and then like my
Mhm.
body gets tense. So I prefer to just let it go. But it's nice that you point out that folks can hold if that feels supportive for
Mhm.
them too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's 6 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started. What's in your cup? What are you sipping tonight?
So we are sipping a blend of Blue Lotus, Tulsi, um, lavender, and rose.
Mm-hmm.
And we chose this blend because it really is about supporting the body again and the spirit and staying present and really feeling, imagining, staying open in spite of difficult truths and remembering that this work, the intention behind this liberation work and my work, and I think your work and everyone in this movement for collective liberation is love.
Mm-hmm.
Love for humanity, love for ourselves, love for our communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that rose is really nice and like supporting the heart and then the emotional and relational healing. That Tulsi is an adaptogen, so it also like it's like what do you need, and then I got you. But then it also supports clarity, steadiness. Lavender, that calming, and then Blue Lotus is for that introspective. Even though sometimes like Blue Lotus can take me like bing, like out to the cosmos. So a little bit
Let's
of here, a
go.
little bit of there.
That's right. Let's just
Okay, so your topic is becoming while breaking, dreaming and building beyond what we are dismantling, and what drew you to this idea or concept of dismantling and dreaming at the same time?
Um, I think it is many things, right? It's not just one moment. I think a lot of my focus has been in kind of like, I would say, even just like in my own journey, like as I like started to develop consciousness around the realities that I actually knew, and naming them. It maybe started with more of like the anti-racist, allyship, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just the growing awareness that like we don't want to just be against. We don't want to just be
Mm-hmm.
breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Nicole Truesdell. She's on Instagram. I think that's her name. But I had a conversation with her at one point, and we were talking about this liberation work and kind of the dismantling. And she really was someone who pointed out to me that when you dismantle, when you take away, if you don't have a clear vision of what goes in its place,
Mm-hmm.
there's a vacuum,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
that can be quite harmful. And it also leaves space for us to just perpetuate the same
Mm-hmm.
patterns that we already know and that we're trying to break of. But if we don't have a clear vision of where we're going and what we want that to look like, what do we replace it with?
Right. Right. Um, my next question was like, what is the clear vision you have? But like, that's not fair. That's not a fair question. Like, what is the solution? What should we build? But like, what are things that we can build? What are things that we can put in the place of what's
Hmm.
being broken down?
Yeah, I think I have some ideas, right? It's I know that it's collective.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it might look different for all of us depending on also like um our
Mm-hmm.
current positionality, right? So I'll speak from my own of being a white woman. Um, within whiteness, within white culture as it is, it's very individualist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of communities, a lot of global majority communities, they're more collectivist cultures, right? So there's already this
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of how to be in community and how to work together and how to maintain those relational bonds. Whereas for a lot of us white folks, we don't have that um, skill, right? Or that capacity to stay in relationship. And so I think that is a really big one is just the relational component.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but also I can't remember if we talked about it in our last live, but really this idea of like we need to go back in order to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what that looks like for me is going back into my own lineage,
Mm-hmm.
going back into what were the spiritual, what were the healing practices, what were the ancestral practices, what are the ways that I can return to being in relationship with my own lineage.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the ways that we all can be in relationship to our own lineage um, and really actually Deirdre and I were talking about this the other night, like indigeneity belongs to all of us, right? We
Mm-hmm.
all come from indigeneity.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of how long back.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I'm going to go off on a little tangent if you'll
No, go ahead.
entertain me. I actually really, one of the things I've been reflecting on and like thinking about this interview is I remember one of our earliest conversations, you were talking about like the Romans and how it all
Mm-hmm.
started with the Romans. And I didn't really like hold that. You know what I mean? I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
holding that. It's like, oh yeah, the British, like they're responsible. You know what I mean? But it's like, who took indigeneity away from the British?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I really, really thank you for that, because that has really helped to like widen my own knowledge and my own awareness of like, I had this sense that yes, especially from like Resma Menakem, like his work, like Europeans were brutalized by each other, and that is part of what we've gone and then taken to the rest of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
when did that start? And it's not just that the British like were always, or I
Yeah.
always forget if it's the British or the English, like what's the proper term, but
Mm-hmm.
but basically that it they were also brutalized, right? And they also lost
Right.
that connection to their land, to their indigenous practices. And so I think that's really a big piece. Is it's not that we have to like romanticize the past, and it's not that we have to stay in the past either,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's really important, like look at the world we're living in. Like that's not the same world that our ancestors
Yeah.
were living in, but what is going to ground us? What is going to give us the support that we need as we like move um into this new reality, into this
Right.
new world that we're birthing. And I think that is another piece of it that I think there's going to be a bit of overlap from our conversation last week, but just it's a world where life is at the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And some people say that starts with the children, and some people say that starts with the mothers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
right. But it's a world with life at the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where we really can look to indigenous cultures today and how they hold that as a model.
Yeah. I mean, what I was thinking about was like, even with this question of is it British or is it English? I feel like English became a term that also like kind of like was a paintbrush that was swiped on a bunch of also different indigenous folks, and like that, like there's the Welsh, there's the Brits, the Britons is like the indigenous folks that were there. And when you were talking about going um back down ancestral lines, and then what we're building, like it's like when that disconnection exists, when that disconnection has been there for hundreds of years, or when it has, yeah, when it's been there for hundreds of years, if it's been there for thousands of years, I don't know,
That
how
part.
do you go back and pull those pieces, and also be okay with the fact that it's not going to be exactly as it was, and it has to be something different for these times, which is like what you
Hmm.
said, like these are different times. So
Hmm.
we don't say like, we definitely don't want to like idealize what existed in the past and be like, we're gonna live exactly like the past was. Like, no, what are the medicines and the lessons that we can take from the past, and like allow that to be a part of the building through dream work,
Right.
you know, through dream
Right.
work, like
Right.
allowing our dreams to remind us what was there, and for us to remember, and then apply those remembrances to what we are building here
Hmm.
alongside of this dismantling that we're being a part of. So yeah, I really love how all of that kind of comes in, and like what else does it mean to dream into liberation?
Mm. Um, Certainly rest,
Um,
and that's a hard one because rest in and of itself is such a luxury.
mhm,
It's not something that we all have copious amounts of time for, right?
mhm,
But even if it doesn't look the same for all of us, there's ways that we can rest,
mhm.
even within our everyday life. Like, um, yeah, and that's that urgency, right? Like, we're really working against that, of like this society. That's how we run, right? That's what keeps us
Right.
disembodied, and that's what keeps us disconnected.
That's what keeps us
Um,
in this rat race. And I just want to just like pause and like just name Trisha Hershey, the prophet
Yeah,
of
thank
rest.
you. Thank
You
you. The
know,
Nap
like
Ministry,
right,
Trisha
bringing
Hersey.
in
Absolutely.
rest as a revolution, like life
Absolutely.
changing work. Like she's like, I really do feel like she's a prophet when she starts speaking about rest as a way to like move away from this thing and be a part of this dismantling. So continue, but I just needed to like put her name into the space
Thank
around
you.
that rest piece.
Yes, 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 yes. That is where I get it from, and I appreciate that because I am trying to also, as I name ideas, like name where I get them from, and it's really important to credit like the learning lineages that we're bringing in as well. I also have thoughts around like rest and, sometimes also white folks like co-opt that rest language and are like, oh, I need to rest and I need to
Mm-hmm.
this. And it's like, well, actually, we got some work to do. Like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
we need to rest, and
Mm-hmm.
rest doesn't look the same for all of us,
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
But I just lost the whole question. So,
Like, what does it mean to dream into liberation? So you had said rest was a part of dreaming into liberation. Like,
Hmm.
when we're thinking about dreaming, what other, like, maybe it can be specific dreams or ways to engage in that process of dreaming.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, um, like connecting with the practices and supports of our lineages really helps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and part of that being like land connection, land offerings,
Mm-hmm.
and being in a place of reciprocity with the land that we are on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big part of it because often my sense is that we feel like we're doing it all on our own and
Mm-hmm.
we're moving as if we're doing it all on our own. And I
Mm-hmm.
like say that to myself first and foremost, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a whole earth out here supporting us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like at any given moment, and I do this sometimes. If anybody here is in Oakland, around Oakland, you'll find me at Lake Merritt, leaning on a tree,
Mm-hmm.
sitting with my back on a tree, just like taking the support where I can receive it, where it's just there, right? But that also means like not, and
Mm-hmm.
this is a practice that frankly I'm newer at of like, how do I not just extract either?
Right.
Right? How do I give to the land? How do I tend to the land? And it's interesting, like there's ways that I was doing practices that are like ancestral and didn't even know it.
Like
Like a
what?
lot of times if I'm walking around and I have like a little bit of water, I'll just be like, here you go to like the tree or to
Mm-hmm.
the plants or like, but without the intention, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
the awareness, but it was still
Mm-hmm.
like a practice, or
Right.
going to the trees for support. Like there's actually a history of that within Ireland
Mm-hmm.
specifically. Um, and then I think like smoke cleansing, like that comes, there's that's like a big part of like my Muslim identity or background, that there's a lot of like cleansing with smoke and um but trying to find out like, okay, what was used in
Mm-hmm.
Ireland or what is still used in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding out too, like this, I'm kind of in this project of like trying to like map out what are the different indigenous practices that
Mm-hmm.
there's overlap. Like with juniper, that's something that's burned in Ireland and is also burned in Nepal. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also a really interesting way of like we can claim indigenous practices.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to make sure we're in right relationship with
Right.
them.
Or
I think I
even
lost the plot too on that one too though.
that's okay. No, yeah, but like do the work of like finding out too that
Hmm, hmm.
recovery. Like
Right.
you know, sure in dreams, but like also literally like
Hmm,
there's AI that folks can use. There's more ethical uses of AI. There's less ethical uses of AI. I'm one that believes that all Ogun's tools are good. It's what man does with them. But
hmm.
like using the technology that we have afforded to us to go back to the past.
Right. 100%.
You know, like,
100%.
and I don't want to stay too much in like this dreaming and rebuilding is only about the past. It absolutely needs the past, but it
Correct.
also needs the present. And what you had said was like life has to be at the center. So
Mm.
what does the world look like? Big question. What does the world look like where life is at the center and there's not extraction? And I think you're talking a little bit about that, but maybe just
Hmm.
expand on that.
Yeah. We're what at this point, 2.5 years into a genocide?
Mm-hmm.
One
Mm-hmm.
genocide, right, in Palestine,
One of
but
many that are
one of
happening.
many,
Yeah.
right? Sudan, Congo, all over the global south,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is built on 400 plus years of colonization and genocide within this particular iteration of
Mm-hmm.
colonialism. And it starts there, right? Like the violence
Mm-hmm.
against children, against mothers, against, but also I dislike when we only talk about the children and the mothers
Mm-hmm.
because it's the men too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
They be getting murdered. They be getting
Correct.
bombed.
And we don't also have to just look at the global south, right? In this
Right.
country, um, actively. And so what does it look like? What does that look like? Like that is something I'm really grappling with is we are living under fascism.
You got a call?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. um, we're living under fascism. Nobody's coming to save us,
Mm.
you know?
Not the people that got the power to save us in the ways that we traditionally think of being saved.
Correct. Correct. And so, um, sense of like who's going to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's us, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's so much a part of why I'm focused on this work and this work with white folks in particular, because going back to this piece about not knowing how to be in relationship, not knowing how to be in community, that is what's going to be needed to take us
Mm-hmm.
out of this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we are so strong collectively and we have all of the power collectively, right? It's just a matter of coming to that and reclaiming that.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take us off topic from like maybe some questions that I shared with you in advance, and I want to ask you,
Love
what is
that.
white women's role in this? Like, what is white women's role in this?
Ooh, yeah. Um, this will take me back to my interview with you, Courtney. um, I think we're at the center of it, frankly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially in this country, we're upholding it,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're propping up patriarchy, white male patriarchy, right? And in the interest of protecting ourselves, we are betraying everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a long history, and not just betraying, like harming, murdering, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not, and that needs to be named. Like it's not, when I think about like when we talk about like white women in the discourse, it's like, you know, there's a lot of fragility, a lot of tears.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a lot of softness
Mm-hmm.
for what is actually like horrific and evil,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Mm-hmm.
um I get that we're all kind of like victims in this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's time to grow up, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's time to step into matriarchy, right? Like
What?
the feminine, the like, it's not soft, it's not, you know, it's not weak, it's powerful, it's
Mm-hmm.
life-giving, it's
Mm-hmm.
there, right? And that's I mean, we could go on a whole other tangent about, right? Like the witches and
Mm-hmm.
the targeting of women and of the strong women and of the women that were at the center of community, right? And this is
Mm-hmm.
like hand in hand with the rise of capitalism
Absolutely.
and where we are today. So I think what the role of white women is stepping back into our power,
Gotcha.
like growing the fuck up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but like, it's time to grow up, boo. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we can do this
Right.
and we must do this.
Right. And I feel that strongly, like, one, as a Black woman, I'm tired of saying I'll do it. As someone that's descended from indigenous people, I'm still trying to reconnect those lines. And as someone that's descended from Europeans, like, yeah, like I know those witches. I
Mm,
know them and I know their power and I know what was done to them. And I know the fear that was placed in the bones of their children that got
mm,
passed down
mhm,
intergenerationally,
mhm,
which is a
mhm,
part of this fawning that happens, which is a part of this not being your power, which is a part of, I mean, I don't know if it's so much as allowing patriarchy as much as allowing your trauma response to the things that happened to your mothers and your grandmothers to
mm,
hinder you or to stop you from stepping in your power.
mhm,
And so
mhm.
like there is a trauma piece there, and the
Absolutely.
truth is that like when folks are in power, they will be violent to keep that power. And sometimes they're violent with those that are closest to them.
Mhm.
And also, like you said, yeah, buck up, buttercup. It's time. Like,
Yeah.
come together. We were joking so we had a cookout yesterday,
Two
day
days
before
ago.
yesterday.
Yeah.
We had a cookout and we were joking because my white woman count has increased. It has increased more than it has ever been. And, like, I be bringing white girls to the cookout, but it's the white girls that are in their power too, right? And
Mhm,
like, let there be more and let there
mhm.
be more. Because one of my friends, um, I'm not going to say her name, but she talks about like just feeling this sense of, oh, this warmth from me. And I'm like, and not experiencing that with other white women. And I think that there
Mhm,
needs to be some circling up, and not like performative circling up, not like burning sage and saying namaste and bowing down at an altar for some deity that's not connected to your lineage.
correct.
Like not that type of stuff, but like bring Bridget in, see what happens. Like
Yeah.
there's plenty of deities that are within like indigenous lineages of white women that you can circle
Absolutely.
up and get around together and then build a relationship with one another. And you already talked about this community piece, but like there's also like bravery and courage that is needed, which is why like Borge was in the tea blend for stepping against supremacy, because it does require courage. Like there's
Mhm,
like deep shedding that needs
mhm.
to happen. And that is also still a part of this building. Like once you let go of that dead weight, then you're lighter to be able to
Oh
scale the
my
mountains that you
gosh.
couldn't go up before.
Correct. And that's, yeah, I think, there's also, I really appreciate just going back to the trauma piece. Like, I appreciate you bringing that in. And I also, I think it's important to say, like, this is not like from a place of shaming either, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
reality is everybody's lineage has trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's ancestors went through some stuff, and some
Mm-hmm.
people's ancestors' descendants are still going through it today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even we are, right? As white women, like we're still like yoked to like patriarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get out of that? And then I'll just go back to the bravery piece, that makes me think like, and with the cookout the other day, what I notice is, right, like I've been in community with global majority folks my whole life, right? And as I mentioned last time, I have this like unique experience of like part of my life like outside of whiteness and part of my life within it, right? Or at least that's how I'm perceived. Um and so I would say like I'm more comfortable than most of the white folks I know, like being in spaces like that. And yet, right? Like my experience at Doorway, and at your home and just in these spaces, and I want to be really vulnerable here, is like whiteness is absolutely decentered.
100%.
And you told me that, right? You told me that, and I knew that, and that's why I came, right? And I am like, there's a lot going on in my body right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with all of this knowledge, even with all of like
Mm-hmm.
my own lived experience, it's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because and I was telling, my sister this yesterday, like it's humbling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because even as someone who and we talked about this again last week, it's like there's no end point. There's no we're done with this work, because
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm here, I'm noticing a whole other thing of like, wow, there's some body stuff coming up. There's some like, where do I go? How do I not like, like how do I not center myself and my experience in this space and come in with gratitude and humility as a guest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's real. Like, I wanted to check on you, but I was also like, no.
I'm glad you did
Like,
it.
no. I was like, because you heard the conversations that we have when nobody is white is there.
Right,
And it was unfiltered.
right,
And then I
right,
was like, no, because I told her that that's what happens here. And like, this is also what it needs to look like for us too.
right,
Right? Like when we work together side by side, there are things that we have to let go too. Like we have to let go of mammying. We have to let go of
right,
like caretaking. We
right,
have to let go of code switching.
right,
That was a raw conversation. And
right.
it was like raw and kind of drunk at the same time. There was alcohol that was involved.
Real talk.
Right. And it was like if you came through this door, you consented to this in some way,
Hmm.
and so then you have to deal with that. And that's also something that, is challenging. And a lot of people have, like, when I say that to people that are like not with the shits, and I'm like, yeah, things are coming up for you and you have to go take care of yourself. Like, people are like, what do you mean I have to go take care of myself? You like, you have to take care of me. And I'm like, no.
Right.
Oh, and so what I was trying to say is like, if we're actually doing this together,
Hmm.
right? If it actually is like people of the global majority and people that are white, like side by side saying we're going to dismantle something and build something new, then we all need to be able to be our authentic selves.
Yeah.
And the things
Yeah.
that white supremacy calls for us to do, like mammying, like caretaking, like code switching, right? Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
so we can't participate that on if we're actually going to build what we want to be different,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even with with the conversations, it's really interesting because I've been in other spaces where it's like, my people don't mask, right? But
Mm-hmm,
it's like
mm-hmm,
they're people that I have years and years of
mm-hmm,
relationship with. Whereas being in a new space with new folks and like, I know you the best out of anyone and we're still building our relationship, right? And so that is a very different experience.
mm-hmm,
Um, and one that is such a privilege to be in, right? And one that I think um, is actually going to take the work that I'm doing even like further, right? Like
exactly.
this is me in my experience to learn and to grow. And even in even in like I'm just laughing because there's so many like rabbit holes we could go down with this, but I'm just remembering that like one person was just like, turned to me and was like, "You good?" And I was just like,
I'm not surprised.
and I was just like, yeah. I'm good. Like, I wish people like could like have a visual of like what that looked like. And I even
Yeah.
like I turned to Audrey at one moment and I was just like, hey Audrey, I really don't want to be the two white women in the corner at this party either.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Hmm.
And I forgot where I was going, but oh, I was just saying like someone still checked in on me, right?
Right.
And it
Mhm.
made me think about how many times are global majority folks or black folks like in a room filled with white people, who's checking in on them?
Look, was anybody coming up and saying you good? I could tell you the number of people that have did it to me because I remember those moments because they stand out so clearly.
Right. Because they're so rare, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, and I just wanna I really commend you and Audrey. Like I had told you this in your job interview that like, it's gonna go from theory to embodiment. And you guys
Mm.
are like really embodying the things that you're talking about with your bodies. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
like there were feelings that were coming up for me that
Oof.
I had to like start to explore and probably still need to tend to.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, like that is the next level. That actually is what this building looks like. Like you
Absolutely.
have to put your body into it. Don't just tell me
Absolutely.
what Bell Hooks told you in that book that you read that one time, or you read White Supremacy and Me, or you look at some shit on Instagram and you're parroting stuff to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like put your body here
Mm-hmm.
in this liberation movement with me. And when you do that, then you reap the benefits. You get
Yeah.
invited to the cookout, you get you get to go to a fish fry, you get to learn how to play dominoes,
Shout
you
out to
know?
Reggie. Shout out to Tim.
Yeah. So okay. Um let's say so we talked about offerings, land offerings, right? We did a land offering together. Was that your first time doing a land offering? You had done a land offering before?
Collectively, first
Yeah.
time.
Okay, okay. Yeah. What does it mean to bring right relationship? Because that to me, that's what that was. For context, I've been at Doorways for at this location for 6 years. And I've done land offerings on my own, and I wanted to do a land offering, and I invited everybody that reaps the benefits of being on this land, seeing clients, putting food on their tables, putting money in their bank account, saying thank you to the land that we're on, where our business happens, and we did that together.
Mhm.
And so, what does um, being in right relationship? What is the role of that in this building, and what is the role of that in this dismantling?
Mhm. And specifically like to doorways like that, just that.
No,
Okay.
just like period. Like what can right relationship look like as we're um, dismantling like white supremacy?
hmm Um, Perhaps it begins with acknowledging the original stewards of the land,
Mm-hmm.
the Ohlone people specifically in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think a really important part of that is oftentimes with our native siblings when there's a conversation, um, it's presented as if they're from the past,
Mm-hmm.
as if they are only in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And they're simply not, right? They're right here, very active, actually, here in the Bay Area, here in Oakland. One of the things I loved about Doorway is the acknowledgement of Segura Tay and the Shumi land tax, right? That's like in the email
It's in our email signature.
signature.
Pay your taxes.
That
We
part,
pay
you
our
know?
taxes. Everybody that gets the email from us, pay your taxes.
Yeah, so it's like it starts there, right? These are communities that tended to this land that are still in relationship with this land. And the Ohlone people for example, it's not, they were here for like somewhere between 10,000 to 14,000 years, right? Um, and even like actually I'm gonna go off on this for a minute because it is really important, right? Like for my Bay Area people, like Emeryville,
Shellman.
Shellman Way,
Yes.
you already know, like they
Hmm.
built a parking garage on a sacred site and named the street after that, right?
Hmm.
And these shell mounds, some of them were older than the pyramids in Giza, right?
Hmm.
So to get that context, because I think often with dominant culture, the historical, right, is cut off, and that's a really important to situate ourselves within time and to see who was here and how did they have relationship and how can I have a relationship with them. And it's not just the Shumi land tax, right? With Segura Te, you can go to the land, right? You can tend to the land with them. They have weeding, they have planting, they have like all kinds of
Hmm.
ways. You can mail out thank you cards to donors, right? Like there's all kinds of ways where you could be in relationship with that community specifically, right? Um, or for example, just one last piece that I think is really important to like call to public attention. UC Berkeley, I believe, and I forget the other university, maybe SF State. They have something like 8,000 bones of ancestors,
Hmm.
right? Of Ohlone ancestors just locked away.
Hmm.
Um, that's a way we could be in right relationship, right? Who's going to get down to the UC Berkeley Regent's office and say
Return
return
them.
return them to the rightful people, right,
Hmm.
where they should be. And so I know like Segura Te, it's been so beautiful to see like the land that's getting
Rematriated.
rematriated, right? And to see especially the spot in Berkeley, right, where they're the campaign that they have right now is called Let the Land Breathe. And it's really about bringing removing that parking lot and
Hmm.
bringing life back to a place that was deadened by capitalism.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And I want to say that right relationship can be to the land, it can be to like indigenous folks, but also right relationship isn't just about the past. And it's
Right.
not just about correcting harms. It is about that as well.
Hmm.
So I just want us to have an expansive idea as we think about this building piece and this dreaming
Hmm.
piece,
Hmm.
that right relationship is also something that's active and present as well. Active
Right.
in the present and something that you can be present with as
Right.
well. And it involves things like, like our rupture and repair protocol.
Right.
Like that's part of like being in right relationship.
Absolutely.
These offerings are a part of being in right relationship. I feel like as much as you're here for liberation, you are also here for white folks to be in right relationship with the rest of us and picking up that mantle and saying like, as a white woman, I am going to support white folks and being in right relationship with others. And if that's an issue for you, come sit in my office and let
Hmm.
me support you in figuring out what we need to tend to within you so that you can be in right relationship with others.
Absolutely. And just calling back that still begins with me. It still begins with my own way that I'm trying to maintain that and to be in integrity with that. And I think with the offering and with right relationship and reciprocity, it's like the way that I think about it is like we're all benefiting, right, from different systems, right? So another way, and I might butcher this, so I'm so sorry, but um, I'm thinking about reparations, right? Like I named the Native community here specifically, but also this country was built on slavery, right? Was built on free labor. And so what does reciprocity look like, right? If we're not going to get it through or reparations, like if we don't get it through the government, How can we do that, right?
Mhm.
Are we paying the Black women who are educating us, right? Are we at
Mhm.
least like a Venmo, just even thinking about Instagram, right? Or social media and all of the information that we receive. Like,
Mhm.
how are we in right relationship with that,
Mhm.
right? Um, so really thinking about that and thinking about the material ways that regardless of where we are in class, there are material ways that we benefit, right, as
Mhm.
white folks. So how do we counter that? How do we find balance in the ways that we have benefited, right? Through no merit, through no extra work of our own, just because we're accepted into this construct of whiteness, right? A
Mhm.
complete lottery of chance.
Mhm.
Um, and I think just as far as right relationship, just on the tangible, like interpersonal level, it's like starting small, right? Like,
Mhm.
are you in right relationship with your partner?
Mhm.
Like with your family, with your friends, like what does labor look like? How is that
Mhm.
labor split, right?
Mhm.
How how are we in reciprocity with one another? And it's not, I think we also need to be careful about like a tallying or,
Mhm. Mhm.
like I did this, so you do that. And
Mhm.
that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of dangerous
Mhm.
work. But,
Right, right. Because there has to be, and I think you said this early on, is like this piece around love, right?
mhm,
Like with the rose that's in your tea, like this piece around love. If I love you, I don't need to keep track. It's like something that is like
mhm,
ever flowing and ever giving.
mhm.
So yeah, like, tell me more about love in the dreaming and dismantling, and then we'll close out. Like,
Mm.
because I feel like that's really also at the center is life and love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have to bring that back to myself always, right?
Hmm.
Because when you are seeing the injustice, when you are seeing some of these systemic pieces so clearly, it's really easy to get into, especially me. I'm an Aries, I'm a fire tiger, like it's fire, and it could be really easy for for that energy to take over, right? But it's
Hmm.
like I always have to come back to this piece of like it's love at the core and at the center. And when you started saying this quote of like, or when you started saying like, if I love you, I thought you were going to go with the James Baldwin quote, which I think is really relevant here of
Hmm.
like, if I love you, I have to make you aware of the things you can't see,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so it's not just like love for oppressed peoples. It's everyone's oppressed in this scenario. It's just different forms of it, right? Like,
Hmm.
because when we're bought into whiteness, when we're
Hmm.
disconnected from our ancestry, when we're disconnected from who we are, when we're disconnected from our spirit, from the land, from our bodies, from all of this, that's awful.
Hmm.
Like that's a half life
Hmm.
from my perspective. Like we're not actually living. And I got to be careful because now I could just launch into a sinner's rant and like my thoughts on that. And maybe we want to go there, maybe we don't, but
Yeah, I
like
was thinking about zombies too, but we're maybe that'd be like part two. Let's talk about how capitalism and white supremacy and this patriarchy really create a world of zombies. I mean,
right,
capitalism really does create a world of zombies. Like when you think
right,
about how much time we're actually spending to benefit someone else in order to survive and then barely have time for each other, like I do feel like a lot of us are walking around as zombies, not consensually,
right,
you
right.
know.
And none of this is consensual,
None of
right?
this is
Like we didn't
consensual. Yeah.
we didn't opt into this, right? We were
Hmm.
all born into this to some degree. And I think that's the thing is like it it's for me, it's really it's painful. You know, it's painful to know. And I think that that is like so much of why I'm right where I am, because it's like to go through life, and that's the conditioning, right? And we see it with our clients all the time of like
Mm-hmm.
this like internalized like these are my shortcomings. I'm, you know,
Mm-hmm.
fucked up. Like I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's so internalized, and it's like this is what's so insidious about it, is that
Right.
it's systemic, right? It's historical, it's generational. And um did I lose the plot again?
No, I mean maybe, but I'm with you. I'm lost with you
Yeah.
because I feel like I be telling the clients so much, so
Yeah,
much a part of my work is like zooming out and let's look at the system that is the reason that this
exactly.
thing is like are you anxious?
Yeah,
Or are you in a system that has set you up to always have to constantly worry about if
that
and how
part.
you will survive?
Right, right.
Like,
The
is that on
hypervigilance.
you? Right.
Right.
And then, add trauma to that, like the ways that I think I said this earlier. Sometimes people lash out at those that are closest to them.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, yes, I'm with you. We got lost together.
I love that.
Let's
Yeah.
bring it all home. Again, the topic is dreaming, dismantling, building. What's something, if you can give someone a key takeaway this week, what's one way someone
Mm.
can begin dreaming, building, even in a small way this week? You named a few of them like throughout, but like maybe um, coming back to like maybe three things. Doesn't have to be
Mm.
in any particular order of importance.
Mm. Um, this might not be small, but something I've been thinking about is like grief, and
Mm-hmm.
how much grief, whether we're conscious to it or not, we're all holding right now, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
world that is dying, right? The world that we know is ceasing to exist. And, you know, also goes back to all of the lives that are being taken right now, right? All of the land that is being grabbed right now. And um, one invitation I'll put out there is look up a grief ritual from your culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's these ways that we've grieved, and that we've had that that many of us are also disconnected with. So
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
try to find a grief ritual, right? That would be one. And then I would say a second one would be look into Sogorea.
There you
It's
go.
Sogorea,
Mm-hmm.
and then space TE. Look
Mm-hmm.
up Sogorea, get on their mailing list, pay your Shumi land tax. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's something like depending on your income, it's
Mm-hmm.
adjusted, but it's like $10 a month. It's not, it's yeah, depending, but
You can
at
also
least look up.
pay a lump sum too.
Right,
I
right,
believe.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
At least look them up. Start there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say the last one
Mm-hmm.
is find some way to love on yourself.
Yes.
You know, we talked a lot about love, and with all of this, right? Whether we're talking about the love, whether we're talking about liberation, sovereignty, it starts with us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Often we're kind of going outward and trying to like make it happen for the other people, but it has to start from within. And so whatever that means to you and however you can do it, taking a bath, going for a walk, resting on a tree, like find some way to love on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can do that with your tea, sipping in a
Yes.
sovereignty.
Yes.
you know,
Yes. Yes.
I don't feel like we talked about sovereignty a lot today, but we can maybe do that the next go round when we connect, but like, yeah, like you crafted and created a tea blend that will be supportive to the things
Mhm.
that you were talking about today. A tea blend
Yeah.
that is supportive to dreaming, that is supportive to dismantling, and is supportive to building. And that's going to be available at two places, the Freedom Community Clinic Apothecary and Pharmacy and the Herbal Ritual Apothecary, both in Oakland. There's only going to be a few. I think I'm putting 3 bottles per site. So, because we got a lot of people coming up, and then we'll just be replenishing as we go. But yeah, like sip into sovereignty, even if it's just like having a little tea for yourself that supports the qualities that you want to start to grow and enhancing yourself. Yeah,
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm. And
Okay.
sovereignty, can I just add one more thing
Mhm.
on that? What I think about with sovereignty is like that's what we're moving toward, right? Like the liberation is like the process, right? Of moving toward that. And sovereignty is something that regardless of where we are externally, regardless of the world outside of it, the world outside of us, sovereignty is our birthright. That
Mhm.
is where I'm operating from. That is my core belief. And sovereignty is something that we can have now,
Mhm.
right? Sovereignty is something we can build and have right now, regardless of external factors. And I think a big part of that is emotional sovereignty,
Mhm.
right? Somatic, bodily sovereignty, right?
Mhm.
Just on every level.
Yeah. Okay. What you up to at Doorways? What are your offerings? How can people work with you?
Yeah, so I am taking new clients right now. And I work with all ages. I work with couples as well, families. But yeah, working with all ages. So come see me. Um, and what else am I up to at Doorway? We have a
Your group?
group. Mm-hmm. So we have a group called Deconstructing Whiteness and Reclaiming Sovereignty. And that's really a therapy group designed to help support and process participants in unlearning whiteness. What does that even mean? A lot of us are coming from different starting places with that, but like to really begin that work or to continue that work for that matter of divesting from whiteness within ourselves, and committing to the accountability and the repair that is needed. So a lot of what we talked about today will also be covered in that group around just building relationships, reciprocity with ourselves, with the earth, with our lineage.
And how many of those groups are you running?
We're running two, one for white folks and another for global majority folks. So even if you're not able to do a group right now, definitely feel free to fill out like the interest form that we have.
Mhm.
Fill that out, and we could always reach out to you at a later time if that works better for you.
And we'll
Um,
link the interest form and also your Calendly link if people want to work with you one on one. We'll link that in the description for the YouTube that we post.
Great. Yeah.
And then also we have a little highlight reel where it can be tagged as well. And there'll be a few highlight reels in the doorways Instagram where folks can find you too. And then also you're gonna be at the lake.
That's right. Thank you. For more reasons than one, right? So that's one of the really exciting things Courtney and I have been talking about, is with clients, like the ability to go to the lake to help with the land connection and kind of, again, what we've talked about. But also, I'll be at the lake kind of sporadically over the next who knows how long, with my sign, kind of just inviting people into conversation. Um, so I'll probably be posting like on my Instagram, like when I'm about to like head out there. Um,
And tag
and
us
come
so that
through.
we can repost it too, so that folks
Yeah,
can, yeah.
Yeah, come through. I'd love to just, have these conversations. I've also just been kind of thinking about ways of even maybe having some like community education center or community education um, like talks,
Mhm.
conversations. We'll see. Yeah, there's a lot we're kicking up, and I'm excited to share more with you all and really appreciate you, Courtney, for opening up this space and dreaming with me.
For sure. Maria dropped your Calendly link in the chat. Hi, Maria.
Yes,
Thank you.
Maria. Thank you.
All right. So folks can find your teas. They know where to find you for individual therapy, for groups. And, even being at the lake, what I was thinking, like, I don't know, I said like table and chairs, but I really imagine you out there with them rugs
You
and
already
in the
know it's
sun.
gonna be me in that rug.
And like a little, like, a little, some your water and like a little like speaker playing music, and the sign says like, "Let's talk about whiteness." So like, if you see
Correct.
Sara out there at the lake with a sign that says, "Let's talk about whiteness," know that that's an invitation. Sit down on the rugs, chill, and engage in that while resting. Like that is
Right.
also resting. Be in the
Right.
sun. Get your vitamin D on. So yeah.
Exactly. And the other side of that sign says ketamine for queer folks by queer folks.
Mhm.
So, we could have a conversation about that too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
And
Thank you,
then we'll
everyone,
post
for
this
joining.
soon. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming, for all of the hearts and the likes. And then we'll see you in 2 weeks when Audrey will be talking about nature and play and joy, and how those are elements that we need to bring into this divesting from whiteness and deconstructing white supremacy for white body folks as well. So we will see you then.
Yes. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.